Welcome back to the Frugal Family Gardens. We are working on several things today. It has been raining like crazy and it's quite chilly outside. So until it warms up just a little bit, I'm going to work on a few things here in the house. So for starters, from the dumpsters, I have these dowels that we found just last weekend. I also have some string that we found, I don't know when, it's been ages and ages, and I am going to use these to make a trellis. I'm not sure yet what's going to grow on it, probably beans, maybe. Another thing that you could do is make wigwams with these. What is a wigwam or wigwam? It's just like a teepee minus the covering. Just great to have, your plants growing up and around that. Any of those, creepy, climby plants, beans, sweet peas, clematis, things like that. These are quite small though, as you can see. They're like the length of, my forearm. So they're not going to be for huge things. But what I have thought about doing is having a hanging trellis. We're going to see. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. We'll see what I come up with. But some other things. Snail and slug killer. I know it sucks not being able to do it quite the organic way, but I have to make decisions, tough choices on which things I'm going to put more of my time and energy into. And plucking snails, though it is kind of fun going out at night with a flashlight and plucking them, I'm not able to keep up with that as often as I would like. I've heard of doing things like putting eggshells and beer baths, and those help to an extent. But in the end, I find that this is the most effective way. I limit the chemical products like Roundup and the slug and snail killers. I limit those as much as possible throughout my yard. But unfortunately, there are times when it's a must. So we'll be applying this today because there has been so much rain, hence lots and lots of snails. I have several things that I get to do while we're inside, and I'm watching Gardener's World. It's a BBC show. Highly recommend it. You've got Monty Don on there and Carol and everyone else, and they are fantastic. I watch it through BritBox. It's a bonus channel that you pay for on Amazon Prime. One of my splurges that I very much enjoy and have gotten so much value from. Something that they have reiterated again and again on that show and on a million other gardening shows. It's all about feeding your plants, which I have never been good at other than my house plants. I give them these little sticks and those go for like 6 months and take care of my house plants. But my outdoor plants, I have done a terrible job. I am ashamed of how terrible of a job I have done at feeding the plants outside. Every few years I'll do like tree stakes for the trees, but I've got to do better. I have got to do better. So 2019, we are committing to doing better. I bought this big, huge thing of plant food. We're going to go ahead and, you see here it says for use in spray feeders or watering cans. I have a spray feeder somewhere. I'm guessing it's out in the big shed, and that is one of the projects on the list, is to get that cleaned out as we do every year. But until then, I have this fabulous metal watering can that we found in the dumpsters last year in one of the craft store dumpsters. I got it all cleaned up and have been using it since then, and it is marvelous. So for a trial run, we're going to start out with a little bit of this in there, and we're going to see how it goes. Yeah, it'll be interesting. This says that it is for all flowers, roses, vegetables, houseplants, shrubs, and trees. I am really excited to see if it makes a difference. I will have a control plant in this experiment, so I will have like 2 of the exact same plant potted up the exact same way, one without feed and one with this, so that we can get a really good honest, accurate idea of if this is going to make a big difference, but I think it will. Finally, well, no, not finally, there's a couple more things. I was able to find some, and these were at Walmart, some metal spot sprinklers. These are my absolute favorite, and I have a yellow one that I use all over the yard, but there's only one of them, and that gets to be a pain. And so I went ahead and picked up 2 more. I think they were $5 or $6 each. I love the metal ones. It's all about, when things were made to last, they were made out of metal or cast iron, stuff like that, as this is. And I swear by them. All those other ones that have plastic parts and they'll do this and they'll do this. And no, they fall apart, they die. and they're a waste of money in the long term. So I was so happy to pick up a couple of these, and I will be using these in different parts of the yard so that now each section of the yard will have at least one of these to move around, which I'm hoping will help me do a better job of keeping up with the watering, because something that happens is, oh, the good one is all the way out in the Wonderland and I need to water out here, but I don't want to have to go get it, so I'm just going to water by hand. And then, of course, things don't get watered as much as they should. Now, that shouldn't be a problem. I also picked up a plant bracket because I want to add more plants to the little backyard, the patio area, and this is one way that I am going to do that. I'm going to add several of these. I'm just starting with one, but I'm going to add several of these to the back of our house, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to start with probably strawberries, hanging strawberries, and see if it makes a difference. It is a full sun, very hot, glaring part of our property that has been an issue from day one. It's been really rough. I'm hoping by adding lots and lots of plants and some potted trees, we'll be able to make a difference and make it an enjoyable, usable space. So we'll start with this and probably some strawberries. We have strawberries in the front yard, and I'll be showing you those, and they have just been in the wrong place from day one. I didn't plant them. They were there when we moved in, and I've just never gotten around to moving them to a more ideal location. Let's see if this makes the difference for those. Okay, now finally, the last. I bought a whole bunch of lights. They're just little solar lights. They're less than $1 each. I think they're 97 cents each. You can also get them at the dollar store, but these ones were at Walmart because that's where I happen to be. One issue I have run into with these is you're going to get a lot of duds. Probably for every 5 that you buy, at least one of them will be a dud. So before I tear off all the labels and throw out the bag and the receipt and all that, I'm going to test all of them. And then I bought, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them, and they are all going to go out in the front yard because I have several out there that need to be replaced. I love having just these little bit of light out there for in the evening and at night. It lights everything up, and it just, you can enjoy the plants later in the evening. Plus, it's also a matter of safety and stuff like that. So gonna get on that, and while I'm finishing up this episode of Gardener's World, we'll get all of these tested. Here is a prime example of what I'm talking about. Look at this. Isn't this just terrible? This is one of the hostas that I divided, and I moved it over here, and look, it's only been in maybe a week and a half, and look what those little monsters have done to it. So here's all the poison. Let's see if it makes a difference. We'll check back on this guy in probably a week. I've taken the bracket off of the packaging, and we've got all the parts out. I'm gonna have to get out a drill and the screw gun, and we'll get that done. But what I wanted to point out is there are these twist ties that were holding it onto the package. Don't throw those away. All right, these are great for when you're using things like a trellis or bean poles, stuff like that, to tie on loosely. You can't do it too tight because of, you know, what it is, but these are great for in your garden, all right, for tying things in, for staking, stuff like that, your tomatoes, whatever other plants. So hold on to these. Maybe have a little baggie or somewhere that you put all of these twist ties as you gather them, especially these really strong ones. These aren't your standard kitchen varieties. See how thick they are? And they're long. And so go ahead and hold on to these. Just another way that you can reuse something that would otherwise end up in the landfill. Out here on the front porch, I've put in 2 hooks up there at the top, and now I'm going to go ahead and hang this from those hooks, and then I will find a way to secure it to the railing here, and then we'll decide what we're going to have growing up it. It can't be anything too heavy because this is not super duper sturdy, but we'll come up with something, maybe sweet peas or something like that. I've got that hung up and it's not as straight as I would like it to be. Also, there's not as many sticks as I would like for there to be, but I've got more dowels in the attic, so I'm gonna get some of those down and add down here in this area. I've got it tied in pretty well, but I also might add some dowels along the sides. We'll see, I don't know. I've read the instructions, so for my purposes in using just this can, it's going to be 1 tablespoon for about a full can of water, and I will need to do it every 2 weeks. So I'm gonna have to set a reminder on my phone so that I stay on top of it. There are 4 packets inside. I went ahead and cut one open, and it actually comes with its own scoop. How handy is that? I don't need to use any of my kitchen measuring spoons for the product. So that's nice. I'm gonna go ahead and get this mixed up and we'll head out to the yard. There's the headless frog that we found in the bins the other week. Was it last weekend, I think? Still don't know what I'm gonna do about him, but I went ahead and put him out here. It's a little macabre, but that's kind of, well, that's me, so it's perfect. While that's filling, I'm gonna go around and check on some of my recently potted plants. We've got the bean here that one of you sent to us. We're gonna have him soon growing up the trellis. That's gonna be awesome. Looking forward to the progress he will make. We have assorted seeds that we have planted, but it'll be a little bit still before those come up. And then right here are the strawberries that I was talking about that were here when we moved in. And now that I've weeded and cut things back, this one is actually getting a little more light, and so it will green up and it will look better. And then there's this one here, but this is just not an ideal place for them. They don't get enough sun. They don't have enough room for themselves, especially when these other things start growing and taking over. So I will get them dug up and moved into a hanging basket, and we'll get the bracket attached to the back of the house and move these guys out there and see if they don't do a little better. I'm going to start with the potted plants and feeding them because they get so much less nutrients than our plants that are in the ground. I'm out here with my shears in a bit of a light sprinkle. There was a very brief respite from the rain, and I thought, I'm gonna get out there and work on this eventual rose bed. Well, the respite lasted for about 5 minutes, but I did manage to get a little bit done. managed to get some cardboard laid down out here, covered up that area, but obviously I'm going to have to bring quite a bit more cardboard. I've still got to dig this up and trim it down really good so that it can put all of its energy into building new roots. I will divide it into probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 plants and move them throughout the yard. There were 2 snapdragons right here. I went ahead and pulled them up, trimmed them down, both the roots and the tops, and replanted them in the front yard. I'm going to continue trimming all of these hedge plants. They're quite big and bushy now, and so if I just start trimming them, cutting off the tops and really like overflowing growth, then they will put their energy into getting thicker and will be a much better, more complete hedge. I also still need to move this one out further to the corner to even this out, but one thing at a time. Trimming up these box hedges has shown me just how uneven I planted these. I am quite embarrassed and ashamed. Not really. I knew at the time I wasn't doing it right and that I was way off, but I was in a hurry and I was tired, and you know how that goes. So obviously this one right there is going to have to be dug up and just completely moved back by probably a whole foot. That's unfortunate, but we will be moving several of them, and with all this lovely rain that we continue to receive, it shouldn't be a problem, shouldn't be too traumatic for the plants.